Good evening and welcome to my channel, Matchday Moments TV. Make sure you like, share and subscribe. This is my reaction to part 2 of the Piers Morgan and Cristiano Ronaldo interview. Let's go. So there we have it, part 2 of the Cristiano Ronaldo Piers Morgan interview finished, done. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what my initial opinion is, and then we'll go into each point he made and talk about it a little bit more. So my initial thought after that is I believe every word Ronaldo said, and what you basically have here is a power play, a power struggle between Ten Hag and Ronaldo. Ten Hag's come into the club and he's thought, right, I've got to let people know that I'm the boss, not Ronaldo. And Ten Hag has made decisions and acted in a way to try and show Ronaldo that he is the boss, which is very silly behaviour in my opinion, because you want someone like Ronaldo on side, not offside. And why would you not want the best player in the world and a top striker like Ronaldo to be on side? It doesn't make sense. So a massive clanger by Ten Hag, and it just shows he's not used to managing big players, is he? I mean, he's come from Ajax, he's come into Man United with the biggest player on the planet ever in the team, and he's just made a total fucking hash of it, in my opinion, and made a balls up. Be a good experience for him, but yeah, Ten Hag doesn't come out of that interview looking good, in my opinion. He does not look good at all. So let's get into it. I've made some notes here if you're wondering why I'm looking down. There was a lot of points made in the interview, and we'll run through each point and we'll talk about my thoughts on it and, you know, this and that. So the interview started off again by Piers Morgan kind of buttering Ronaldo up a bit, talking about how many Instagram followers he's got and has he got more money than Instagram followers, and Ronaldo saying yes and all this sort of business. Ronaldo said that people who criticise him are rats. He said football's changed nowadays, it's more of a business, and players are more like pieces of meat, and he explained how his partner thinks that players are treated as pieces of meat as well. Ronaldo says that whatever happens, it's always his fault. He gets the blame for things. And this was off the back of Piers Morgan saying, you performed very well last season, scored X amount of goals, but it's still somehow your fault. The reason Ronaldo did the interview, I guess it's got to a point where he's pissed off and fed up of listening to all the shite in the news, in the media. And he just thought enough's enough. And he thought, right, I'm going to have my say. I'm going to tell people how it is from my point of view and tell them the truth. Let's just remember, the football club will always, if anyone's going to lie, it's going to be a football club. It's going to be a manager, because the manager has to maintain power and the football club has to maintain respect and look like they're the ones in control. The football club will always try and save face and save and protect the brand. Ronaldo doesn't need to protect the brand. His brand is already what it is. You know, so in these sorts of situations, I will always agree and believe the player, because they have less reason to lie, basically. And at the stage of his career Ronaldo is, 37, 38, why does he need to lie? He doesn't need to lie, does he? It's not like, you know, he has to protect himself for his next big move. He'll get another move. It's inevitable. And when he does move, he'll bang goals in, and everyone else, people like me, will say, I told you so. He's still a top player. And that is exactly what's going to happen. So Ronaldo talked about having problems pre-season. So the twin that survived had bronchitis, was in hospital for a week or so. And Ronaldo said, I'm not going on pre-season tour. Now, I wouldn't go either. If my child even had a mild condition, let's say that they had a temperature, weren't feeling well, not eating and all this, I wouldn't go to another country and fly across the world to play a pre-season tour. No chance. So if your kid's in hospital with bronchitis, you're not going to go on pre-season tour, are you? Let's face it. So that was why. But people made up stories, he said, in the news. He said there was no negotiations for other clubs at that time. And he just said he's a human being at the end of the day. He spoke to the director, the president of the club, and he says they come across like they didn't really believe him, which I find a bit sick, really. He says he didn't want to leave his family in case something happened to the child. Anyone disagree with that? Nope, didn't think so. And he just felt very uncomfortable about the way he was treated over that whole thing. He said about leaving the game pre-season game where he and Delo were photographed leaving early. He said 8 other players left early on that day, but his name was the name in the headlines, and that's because he's Ronaldo. But he said there was 8 people that left that game early, and he also said that people last season were leaving games early as well. So, and that just shows a lack of control, really, of the squad and the players thinking they're too big and too good to stick around. So, yeah, that wasn't really good. He says, in terms of leaving the ground early against Tottenham, he said he felt provoked by the manager to do that, and I can 100% understand what he is saying there. It's a total lack of understanding from Ten Hag. And it kind of reminds me of the Cantona days of Alex Ferguson, and Alex Ferguson managed Eric Cantona brilliantly, where other clubs, they didn't understand him, they didn't treat him properly, he had troubles at other clubs. But Ferguson understood him, and it appears Ten Hag has just bowled into Man United and just thought, I'm the manager, and I'm going to stamp my authority on Cristiano Ronaldo to set precedent, maybe set an example, make an example of Ronaldo, and that's what it sounded like, and I can fully believe it. I reckon managers do that all the time to players. You've got a big player in a team, I think they go in there thinking, I'm going to show him who's boss, and it probably it does happen all the time at all the clubs all around the world. Difference is, this is Cristiano Ronaldo. You don't do that to the GOAT without expecting repercussions, and that's exactly what's happened. He said he did feel a bit of regret about it, but he doesn't, he would do it again, is what I kind of gathered from that. He did say he apologised to the coach, the manager, after that first time that he left early at pre-season. Piers kind of fueled the fire by saying Ten Hag messed you about a bit at the start of the season. And basically Ten Hag was making Ronaldo wait his turn to play because he'd missed pre-season. And to begin with, Ronaldo said, that's fair enough, I didn't do pre-season, I'll wait for my chance. But it is apparent that other players were not afforded the same. There were other players that didn't have a full pre-season and they were just put straight in the team. I didn't really follow pre-season much, so I can't really say I know who those players are. Some of you guys will know who them players are. You can't treat Ronaldo one way and other players the other way. Again, it's a total lack of respect, isn't it? And it's kind of picking on Ronaldo to try and look like the hard man, in my opinion. That's what it is. Ronaldo said other things happened that people don't know about and that he'll keep to himself. He said there was no empathy shown by Ten Hag. And Ten Hag doesn't respect Ronaldo in the way that Ronaldo deserves to be respected. And again, I can 100% understand where he's coming from that, and I make him right, to be honest. He mentioned that for the Man City game, Ten Hag come out in the press and said he had too much respect for someone like Ronaldo to put him on in that game when they were losing. And Ronaldo said that's just excuses to basically sound good to the press. And yeah, it was excuses to sound good to the press. And then he said, you don't play me against Man City out of respect, but then you want to put me on for 3 minutes against Tottenham when the game's already won and you got no chance. He says he's not the sort of player that's going to go on for 3 minutes like that when you show disrespect to him. And again, I have to say, I fully agree with Ronaldo on that. And if it was me and I was in that position, I'd have said, you can stick your 3 minutes up your arse, Eric. I don't think I'd have walked down and walked off and left the stadium. I think that was a bit OTT. All he had to do was say, I'm not going on. There's other players that have done that many times, saying they're not going on. That's all he had to do. So in the heat of the moment, he's got up, he's thought, fuck this, and he's left. And Ronaldo will know why he's done that. Again, I wouldn't have done that, but I'm not Ronaldo. But I would have told the manager to stick his 3 minutes up his arse. He went on to speak about the Glazers and basically said they don't care about professional sport. They're more interested in the marketing and the money. and that football now is a business. So we knew that already. He did say that the fans are always right when it comes to the Glazers. I mean, Ronaldo can't come out and say the fans need to protest and get the Glazers out, because you'd have some nut job try and attack the Glazers. And obviously we don't want to see any violence towards anybody, especially the owners of our club. That is not the answer. We'd all love them to go, but you have to be very careful about how you communicate these sorts of things. And Ronaldo stopped short of saying that the fans need to get the Glazers out. He said the club have got to change. They've got many things that they need to change. Talking about Gary Neville, he says again, Gary Neville doesn't see the bigger picture. Ronaldo said trying to play him for 3 minutes is unacceptable and disrespectful. He did say he apologised to his teammates, but he didn't regret it. And again, I agree that it is disrespectful to try and put him on for 3 minutes when a couple of weeks earlier you're saying you didn't put him on out of respect. All sounds like a load of bollocks from Ten Hag, that. And a bit novice from Ten Hag as well, if I am brutally honest. He said Ten Hag is always saying that he likes Ronaldo in the press, blah, 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 was Ronaldo's words. But he said those words were purely only for the press. And again, they are only for the press, because if he liked him that much, he'd be playing him. So again, Ronaldo right on that one. He did say that if it would have been different if the team had needed him, if there was an injury or something had happened on the pitch, he said, of course, he would have gone on. He wouldn't have refused to go on. But in his eyes, the game was finished. And Ten Hag was just trying to provoke him by making him go on for the last few minutes. And again, I can see exactly why he feels that way. Maybe Ten Hag wasn't consciously trying to provoke him, but that is cause for provoking him. It would have provoked me and pissed me off, as it would have probably pissed a lot of you off. He said that Ten Hag says a lot of things to the press about Ronaldo just to protect himself and to protect United, the club. We know that managers always do that. They have always done it in the past. Ronaldo said he's got morals, and he respects and appreciates honesty and morals in other people. In other words, saying Ten Hag doesn't have morals, doesn't have principles, doesn't respect him. He did say a few times that he did regret leaving the stadium before everyone else, and I can see why he would have regretted. At least he's held his hands up and said he regretted that, and he did apologise to his teammates. He said he was suspended for 3 days for this, which was excessive in his mind. And suspended for 3 days, in reality, what does that mean? It's just 3 days, really. Did he need to be suspended at all? I mean, had he not have left the ground or left at half-time or whatever in pre-season, would he have got a 3-day suspension? Probably not. So I don't think he can argue with being suspended, to be honest with you, for that. You can't be... I mean, refusing to go on has happened and will happen again with other players. But to refuse to go on, then get up, go along the touchline and go down the tunnel and piss off home, I think that does deserve a suspension. He reckons that it's a strategy of the club, the manager, to try and force him out. And what I think he means by that is, I think the club are trying to make him look like a tosser. They're trying to make him look bad. They know he's going to go, and they want the fans to think Ronaldo's a bit of a dick. And in that sense, that's how I understand him saying that the club are trying to force him out. They're trying to make him unhappy. They're trying to unsettle him, trying to make him look bad. They're disrespecting him. They're doing all the sort of things that you shouldn't really be doing, I don't think, and especially not to someone of Ronaldo's stature, not after what he did last season. He did say he doesn't know whether he'll be at United after the World Cup in January. There's a possibility that he'll come back. It wouldn't, I'd be more shocked if Man United terminate his contract than I would be if he ended up going back in January. things can be resolved, you know. I'm not saying they will. I think he has played his last game, but stranger things have happened, put it that way. He said the fans are always in his heart, and I truly believe him when he says that. He said going back to United was an emotional decision rather than a rational decision. And he said he's happy here when he's been allowed to be happy. And again, this goes back to what I said at the start, where you have to understand how to handle and treat certain players. And Ferguson done that brilliantly with Cantona. He treated him differently, and you have to treat certain players differently. You can't treat Ronaldo the same as you're going to treat Rashford or Garnacho or anyone else. There's not, when you've got someone like Ronaldo, he needs to be treated uniquely. He is a unique specimen. He's a one in a billion. You can't just treat him like a piece of shit and think he's going to poke up with that. He's saying at the club, it sounds like to me that he's tried to give advice. He thinks he knows how the club can be fixed or be made better. And the club, his words were, they're trying to cut my legs off, and they didn't want his advice. And if you don't want the advice of Ronaldo, when you've already got people in charge who don't know their football, then we're in a mess worse than any of us feared. Again, he talked about pre-season. He said he didn't have a pre-season, and that was the excuse that was used for him not getting any game time. But he said the same treatment wasn't given to other people, as we touched upon before. He said it would be good for Man United and for Ronaldo for a new chapter. I don't know what he means by that. That's mixed signals. Maybe he means a break away from one another. And he says he wants to be allowed to shine, and that's fair enough. If you create an environment for Ronaldo to shine, he will pump goals in, mate. He will pump them in. But this season, Ten Hag has not wanted to do that. Talking about other offers from other clubs, he said there was other clubs. He said he was offered £350 million for 2 seasons to play in Saudi Arabia. That just sounds obscene to me. Ronaldo's never going to go play in Saudi Arabia this side of 40. He doesn't need the money. He's still about the glory, the records, the goals, the trophies, and he's still good enough to win trophies. And I guarantee it now, he will win a major trophy before Ten Hag does at Man United. Clip that if you want. He went on and said the press are saying nobody wants him, but he said that's not true. He said who wouldn't want someone who scored 32 goals in all competitions, including internationals? Who wouldn't want that? And I say who wouldn't want that? So this notion that nobody wanted him is complete and utter bollocks to me, because why would you not want that? There's very, very few players who can score those sorts of numbers in their 20s, in their prime years, and he's doing it, pushing 40. So again, I believe him on that. If anyone's going to know if he's had offers, it's going to be him, isn't it? It's not going to be the press or you or I. And why would you not believe him? He says he's adapted his body, his mind, he's smart at the highest level still. And he said he'll continue to score goals if he's happy and if the environment around him is correct and if people around him help him, especially the coach, the directors and the executives and whatnot. He said it's difficult to be yourself and play well and perform when there's negative energy around you. When the energy isn't right, it's very hard to achieve things. Again, he believes he's good enough to still achieve things, and I also believe he's good enough to still achieve things. He says he feels brilliant ahead of the World Cup, and he's ready to have a massive tournament and score goals. And I wouldn't bet against him being a top goal scorer. If I'm totally honest, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. He said people criticise him when he talks, they criticise him when he doesn't talk. So for him, he can't win. But I am happy that he's come out and spoke, to be honest, because it puts the record straight and it lets people know what's happening behind the scenes and the relationship between him and Ten Hag. So I'm happy he's spoken. He says his message to the United fans is hard to say he won't be back. The fans are always in his heart and he hopes they never forget the things he's done and the things that he will do. And he thanked the supporters. He hopes to see him again soon. As I said, it'd be nice to see him again, but I think that's the end of it, to be honest, for Ronaldo. He said that Ferguson understands him and Ferguson knows that the club is not on the right tracks. Now, I don't know whether Fergie will be happy that Ronaldo said that. or maybe he would be happy that Ronaldo said that. But the fact that everyone knows Man United are not on the right track. And there's a lot of people out there that seem to think that because Ten Hag's in charge now, that we're magically right on the right track again, when I think we're not. That's nonsense. I've not seen anything from Ten Hag so far to suggest we're on the right track or going in the right direction. I haven't seen it. I think we're 1 point better off than we were at this stage last season. We've had some shocking results and shocking performances this season, as we did last season. Very flaky performances. I think getting Maguire out of the team has been a massive impact. And getting Martinez in, having Varane playing and getting Eriksen, those three combined, and the resurgence in form by David De Gea has seen a slight, and I'm talking slight, improvement in performance in some games. But overall, I think the fans wanted Ten Hag, and I think this is like an over-exaggerated bias in favour of Ten Hag, because the fans are trying to justify wanting him. I didn't care either way, really, whether we got Ten Hag or not. And from what I've seen so far, Ten Hag is not going to win the title with Man United. He's not going to win the Champions League. He might win a cup, a Mickey Mouse Cup. And if winning Mickey Mouse Cups rocks your boat, then I'm happy for you. But he will not win a Premier League title or a Champions League at Manchester United. He'll be here for a few years. And then it'll be the next man. In you come. See you later, Ten Hag. Next man in. We'll all be saying, thought he was going to be the one, but I've seen enough to know. Like when you watch a player, sometimes you don't have to see many games to know that a player is not really all what he's cracked up to be. And I can see that already with Ten Hag. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, it means we're going to win a title or win a Champions League under him, but it's not going to happen, is it? Let's face it. Ronaldo said the infrastructure must change, and he hopes he can help change it. But if it's not going to be him that's going to help, he hopes that someone else can. He went on to speak about the World Cup, and he hopes that Arsenal win the league. There'll be people happy with that. He reckons he'll play 2 or 3 years maximum, wants to finish when he's about 40. He said with good energy around him, good things can happen. That's a given, really. And that was pretty much it. I'm not really interested in talking about what he said about Messi. He had some good words to say about Messi. That doesn't really bother me. I'm more interested in what he had to say about Man United, Ten Hag and the Glazers. The snippets we got given before this 2-day interview made it all seem a lot worse than what it actually was. And obviously that's designed to get people to watch the interview. Having watched the interview now, before I saw both parts, I was already on Ronaldo's side and understood what he's doing and why. And having now seen the interview, I'm 100% behind Ronaldo and what he says. I believe everything he said. I'm not... A lot of you say, you're just a Ronaldo fanboy, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't give a toss what you think of me. I've listened to a man be interviewed and answer questions, and he's given me no reason to doubt or disbelieve him, regardless of whether I like Ronaldo or not. And anyone who thinks Ronaldo's a disgrace or this, that and the other, I can see why you would say that. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's opinion's different. I think Ten Hag has made a massive error in how he's treated Ronaldo. Chances are maybe Ronaldo would have gone anyway. But I think Ten Hag, it's obvious and it's apparent to me and everyone else, unless you're in serious denial, Ten Hag has disrespected Ronaldo in the actions of what's been explained in the interview. My eyes do not lie to me. My ears do not lie to me. I'm able to make a rational, come to a rational outcome based on the evidence put in front of me. And I think what it boils down to, Ronaldo's had enough. He's pissed off and he's thought, fuck it, I'm going to have my say. Whoever wants to believe it, believe it. Whoever doesn't, that's up to you. But Ronaldo's got no reason to lie. Ten Hag will come out and refute it all. The club will come out and deny what he says about the club. The club will talk about how the project moving forward, blah, 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 and that they want to focus on stuff on the pitch and, Ten Hag's projects. And what this has been is basically an eye-opener to what happens behind the scenes at football clubs. I think Ten Hag comes out of this looking like a bit of a dick, to be honest, and looking like a bit of a novice, and that he doesn't know how to handle and treat big players. What he should have done was got Ronaldo on side. Ronaldo didn't need a pre-season. Ronaldo's fitter than probably every player in the United team. If anyone can go into a season playing without a pre-season, it's Ronaldo. So I think that was just an excuse, really, from Ten Hag. Ten Hag doesn't want Ronaldo, and that's obvious. And to be honest, I hope Ronaldo goes on to bigger and better things. With hindsight, I think it was a mistake for him to come from. Ronaldo will never say it, but I think Ronaldo thinks it was a mistake coming back to United, and it's harmed his career slightly. It was a nostalgia thing, and it was an emotional decision. It's just one of them, really. The way this should have gone is Ronaldo should have retired at United. He should have been played as the main man for the 2 years that he was contracted to us for. He should have been given a final farewell, and he should have been sent on his way. But this club has got a track record of not allowing legends to bow out in the most gracious of ways, has it? Look at Roy Keane, look at Rio Ferdinand, the lack of respect shown to these guys. And it's just, again, to Ronaldo, basically. And you need to forget whether he wants to leave or not. The fact is, what's happened has happened. It's fact. And if you don't believe what Ronaldo said, I think you've got issues, really. I think you've got problems. Oh, yeah, he's wrong. He's probably wrong to come out and do this kind of interview. It goes against a lot of things. But forget that. Put that to one side. Is he correct in what he says? And he is. He's correct. People will say he's not correct because they want to side with the manager, because they're blinded by Ten Hag and they think that he's going to bring back the glory years. He ain't going to bring back the glory years. He's not going to bring back the glory years at all. The glory years are long gone, and the sooner we come to terms with that, the better as supporters. I mean, I've come to terms with it. I just want to see good football and I want to see us challenging. But with teams like City around, it's not just the money they've got, it's the structure they've got and everything behind the scenes. They are set up to win. We are set up to make money, and we're set up to fail. It doesn't matter if you've got Ten Hag as a manager. It doesn't matter if you bring Ferguson back. You could have Ronaldo as the manager. The club, the team is not set up to win. Therefore, we won't win. And if you think Ten Hag's got magic dust that he can sprinkle, then I think you need to wake up and smell the coffee. So there we have it. The Ronaldo interview, the saga, the drama's gone. It's finished. You'll come up, you'll make your own mind up. I've made my mind up. We'll move on. We get on with the season. World Cup coming around. As I said, I don't want Ten Hag out, so I don't want to give that impression. I'm happy for him to have his few seasons in charge, see where we go. But I'm not impressed with what I've heard from Ronaldo regarding Ten Hag. Not impressed whatsoever. Let me know what you think in the comments. This has been my reaction to the Ronaldo Piers Morgan interview. Over and out. Be happy, be well.